How do you know when money flow is coming down and the next printing that money flow will not give a continuation? That's a great question. So Parciero wants to know how to use Market Cipher to tell what money flow is doing. Money flow you want to look at over time. You want to look at it over time, okay? So, for example, on the daily time frame, money flow is coming down over time as price is getting higher. This is bearish, okay? We're not looking at like these individual little waves here, although we can, but we want to look at it over time. And we need to learn how to look at the higher time frames and then understanding the context of the higher time frames, go down to the lower time frame. So the daily time frame, we can see money flow is coming down, but now we can see for the past few days or so, maybe few weeks, we can see money flow starting to come up. And so this should pique our curiosity. What's happening here? We can't see, there's not enough detail. So we have to zoom in maybe to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, now we can see over time, money flow was getting lower, but just recently, the past few days, right? The past 20 days or so, money flow has been getting higher. So this is giving us now detail on the daily time frame, saying, yeah, the daily time frame, we can't really tell what's going on. Potentially money flow could be at a peak here, starting to come up. We can't really tell. So let's go down to the 4 hour and see. Oh, look at this. On the 4 hour, money flow is coming up. So all the time frames are showing you the same thing in a different resolution. In a different resolution. So, for example, I am going to watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to outline money flow on the 4 hour right here. Okay, I'm just going to outline money flow on the 4 hour. And then we're going to zoom into a lower time frame and watch how the money flow is going to do the same thing on the lower time frames. Okay, now remember, I outlined the money flow on the 4 hour time frame. Let's go down to the 24-minute time frame here. Okay, let's see if I can find my outline. Where you at, outline? Where's my outline? Come on. Don't do this to me now. I'm live on the internet. I'm going to make a fool out of myself. Huh. Really? Aha, here we go. Now watch this. I'm going to turn everything off except the money flow. And you're going to see that the outline I did on the 4 hour is literally going to be the same thing that's happening on the 24-minute. Just the 24-minute is giving us greater resolution. So I'm going to turn off the waves. I'm going to turn off the WAP, right? The WAPinator. I'm going to turn off the BitBoy green dots and all these things. No offense, BitBoy, you know. I'm going to turn off the RSIs. And look at this, right? The line that I drew on the 4 hour time frame is literally lining up with the 24-minute perfectly, right? It was coming up a little bit on the 4 hour. And look, it came up into the blue on the 24-minute. Then it came down on the 4 hour. And look, it came down on the 24-minute. And then on the 4 hour, as I started to see money flow curving up, well, on the 24-minute, money flow comes up above the 0 line. Then on the 4 hour, I had it curving back down. 24-minute, money flow is curving back down. Then on the 4 hour, I saw it curving up. Money flow is curving up on the 24-minute. Now, notice something else. On the 4 hour, this drawing that I did was coming down over time, right? It was coming down over time. On the 24-minute, look at this. Money flow in general is getting lower every time we print a wave, right? And then on the 4 hour, we saw money flow coming up. And on the 24-minute, as we see money flow starting to curve up on the 4 hour, we can also see it starting to curve up on the 24-minute. Eventually, you'll learn how to look across multiple time frames, and understanding what you see on the higher time frames will then allow you to interpret the lower time frames as well. And so what we want to see over time is something like this, where, you know, if we're looking, let's say for a long at the bottom of the range, we do want to be looking at the 24-minute time frame and say, okay, from the 21st of January all the way to the 24th of January, 3 whole days, money flow is coming up, right? Money flow is coming up. We can see it holding steady on the blue side, coming up on the purple side as we come to our support, right? And we need to keep this also in the context of money flow coming up on the higher term timeframes as well. And if you go to the course, jasoncaspertrading.com, I have a 20% discount. I go through Market Cipher in extreme detail because there's a lot to it, but once you understand how to look at this thing, it tells you what the market is going to do before it happens. Before it happens. People say it's not true. I get so much hate.
Oh, Jason Casper uses Market Cipher, a lagging indicator.
It's not a lagging indicator. It tells you what's going to happen before it happens, right? This is a very powerful tool. So like that's how you're going to look at the money flow, right? Because right here, this is worthless to me. This chunk of money flow right here is absolutely worthless to me. Because what? It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. It doesn't. Unless I'm scalping this little thing on the lower time frames, this means nothing to me. What does mean something to me is over time money flow getting higher, right? And you combine the money flow with the momentum waves. If we turn the momentum waves back on, the momentum waves are going to tell us what happens. The momentum waves are basically giving us our guide to telling us when the money flow is going to start to come down, because it will help us know where the peak of money flow is. If you see a bearish divergence like this, money flow is really thick into the blue. But because you see the bearish divergence, the momentum waves are telling you we've reached the peak of money flow, right? When we took the short up here, look at this, took the short from here, we knew we were at the peak of the money flow when we got our first bearish divergence right here, right? If money flow was coming up, this bearish divergence was the first sign money flow is going to start to come down. And then the next major bearish divergence we had right here, this is the strongest short signal you could possibly have on Market Cipher, where money flow and momentum are both diverging, right? Money flow is getting lower right here, as also the momentum waves are getting lower. This is a very powerful short signal. This is actually why on the higher term time frames for Bitcoin, I am still bearish, because we have had a signal like this, a very strong short signal on the weekly and monthly time frames, guys. On the weekly and monthly. That's why I'm expecting a relief rally before more movement to the downside. Because look at this. We go to the weekly. We go to the, this is the BLX chart, Bitcoin from inception, right? We have never, ever, in the history of Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. We've had it on the weekly before, but never on the monthly time frame have we had basically what I just showed you on the 24-minute for the epic short. This is crazy. On the monthly time frame, we have momentum getting lower, and we have the same thing, money flow getting lower right here, and we have a very local divergence. We have a very, very local divergence right here. And on the weekly time frame as well, I think there's a lot more downside that can be had, because money flow has not even curved into the purple yet, right? Last bull market end, money flow started to curve down. You know, we are right about here, right? We're right about here. And last time we were right about here, we had another, 60%. Oh my goodness. We had another 60% to go, right? And that's what I was saying in my one of my streams earlier this week. What I'm really waiting for is a wave here, and then a big wave over here with money flow in the purple. And we want to see these uneven butt cheeks, but we want to see them now reversed, right? We want to see them reversed. So we go to view, and we go to, tools, flip horizontally. Now we want to see a small butt cheek on the right. You know, that old lady at the diner. Hey, Dolores, this guy needs another cup of coffee. And then over here on the weekly, we have the juicy, lots of Parmesan cheese flowing out of the butt cheek over here on the left-hand side. And that would be a very nice bottom signal for Bitcoin. Right? If we combine a big old this kind of pattern over here, where we have a, even if we had a massive butt crack in here, mixed with bullish divergences on the daily time frame, that would be a very strong bottom signal for me. Big old butt cheek on the weekly, bullish divergence on the daily. So let's go back in time here and take a look at what happened at the bottom of the yep. So look at this, guys. Look at this, right? Literally, we had our big old weekly thing. We had this, right? I mean, even this, technically bullish div on the daily. Money flow curving to the upside on the daily, with having a giant one of these on the weekly. That is like the bottom signal, okay? Just like how the weekly divergence with the money flow is the top signal. Now we're basically looking for the opposite. It doesn't mean we can't long and short along the way down, right? Doesn't mean we can't trade the range. It just means we have to maintain our understanding of the overall context of the market.